Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here for another segment of Wildlife Wednesday. My name's Rachel, and today I'm going to be keeping you all up here in the Visitor Education Center to discuss some animals we've actually been getting calls at about the hospital for more sightings recently, specifically the cane toad. Now, usually on our Wildlife Wednesday educational segments, we're discussing either native or migratory wildlife to Florida. Well, today, what's interesting about it is not only are the animals that we treat here in the hospital important to educate you all about, but also the animal whose presence affects their existence out in nature. And the story on cane toads is they weren't always here in Florida. They were actually brought here in the 1930s and 1940s to consume pests within agricultural fields. But unfortunately, that was a failed experiment because they didn't do as good of a job as what they had originally anticipated. However, because they were introduced into an area not originally their own territory, it allowed them to essentially outcompete native wildlife for resources. And now they've become a huge problem here in Florida. And if you're curious about where their original territory was, they do exist in Central and South America, which is close enough in climate to Florida, being subtropical, and so it is the perfect breeding grounds for them, especially during this time of the year in Florida. Cane toads and many of our other toads do actually breed starting in spring through into fall. So our hurricane season is a perfect opportunity now that we're getting this extra rainfall to see them breeding all over the place. Now, one of the things that makes cane toads extremely dangerous to our animals is because they are poisonous or toxic at all stages of growth and development. Frogs and toads go through a series of life cycles called metamorphosis. Now, usually when we have toads and frogs, they're only going to be poisonous or toxic at the adult stage where they're able to secrete the toxin from their parotoid glands called bufo toxin. However, with cane toads, they're actually poisonous to animals at all stages of their life, at the egg, the tadpole, and the adult stage. As I mentioned, cane toads do have toxin that is secreted from their parotoid glands. Usually, this is only secreted as a defense mechanism. Cane toads are not in and of themselves a super aggressive species of wildlife. They only do this when they happen to be attacked or provoked by other species of animals. As they are primarily nocturnal, usually when cane toads are disturbed is by people's pets in the evenings when they go out for their walk before bedtime. Now, if you happen to believe that your pet has come into contact with a cane toad, it is of the utmost importance that you call your veterinarian as soon as possible. Because if a dog or a cat has consumed bufo toxin, they can have anywhere from swollen and red puffy gums, they can start seizing, and they can even pass away if left untreated in as little as 15 minutes. So it is definitely best to seek medical treatment as soon as possible. If you're wanting to discourage cane toads from hanging out in your residential area, there are tips that you can do to help encourage them or actually discourage them from hanging out. The first and foremost being to mow your lawn regularly. I know now that it is raining, it seems like our grasses are blooming every day and continuing to grow quickly. By getting rid of the elongated grass and trimming your bushes, this actually decreases the habitat and hiding places that cane toads have to seek shelter. You can also remove any readily available food sources, any outside cat food or dog food or watering holes. Again, their breeding cycle starts when they get when the raining seasons kick up. So if you happen to get rid of any collected water, this will also not give them a breeding grounds near your area. Now, in terms of appearance, if you know what you're looking for, it's very obvious to be able to distinguish your invasive cane toad from your native southern toad. But if you're not as familiar with ID, we have some tips here that will help you be able to distinguish the two. Now, in terms of a toad appearance, toads and frogs do look fairly similar. whereas your frogs are going to have more of a smooth skin and possibly even some mucus outer covering, your toads are going to be fairly dry looking and have a rigid appearance in skin. In terms of sizing, cane toads are going to be a lot more massive than our native southern toads. Your southern toad maybe only get to be about 2 to 4 inches full grown, whereas your average adult cane toad size can be anywhere from like 5 to 7 inches long, and some of which have even grown to be like 9 to 10 inches long. So really just the size alone, if you're looking at an adult cane toad, should give you a great indicator of whether or not that is your native versus your invasive toad. And what I have here are 2 of our live animal exhibits, which you can view here in our Visitor Education Center to learn more. Here on our left, we have Sweetie, our cane toad. She is pretty massive, as you can see. And then to the right here, we have Tara, who is our native southern toad. And I am going to be taking them out so we can get a little bit of a easier viewpoint of them. Now, as you see, I am wearing gloves because cane toads do have this toxin that is secreted from their parotid glands. You can see right here, these are large triangular sized glands. This is where that bufo toxin is secreted from. So you can also see, again, the size. They are a very massive toad. They do lack eye crests behind their eyes, which are indicative of our native toads. And because I'm wearing gloves, there is a significant decrease in the chance of getting that bufo toxin on me. So if you do happen to find a cane toad and you are trying to get it humanely euthanized, if you're picking it up, again, pick it up with gloves to help keep you healthy and safe. Now over here is Tara, our native southern toad. Again, much smaller. This is about full grown. Their parotid glands are actually more oval in appearance instead of that large triangular. And then they have the presence of those 2 crests right behind their eyes. If you are concerned that you have an overabundance of cane toads in your residential property, I want to let you know that FWC, or Florida Fish and Wildlife, encourages the disposal of cane toads whenever possible. They are not protected other than by anti-cruelty laws. So once you have them contained, FWC does encourage them to be disposed of humanely. You can view their website for more details on how to do so. Thank you so much for joining us here today for another segment of Wildlife Wednesday. And just so you're aware, the Aussie Memorial raffle tickets are going fast. And so be sure to click on the link below to find out more on how to contribute to this raffle donation. Thank you so much and have a good day.